Officer Armstrong with Wheat Ridge Police Department, I'm a member of the Jefferson County Shoot Team, interviewing Paul Smoker. Today's date is 4/20/99. It is approximately 5 o'clock in the evening. It's a reference to the incident at Columbine High School. Paul, could you please state your full name for me, please? It's Paul Robert Smoker. And your date of birth, please? November 17th of 1966. What department do you work for, sir? Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. When did you start with the police department? I'm sorry. It was February 22nd of 1988. 22nd, correct? Correct. Okay. And what's your current assignment, and how long have you been with this assignment? I'm part of patrol. We're called Directed Operations Unit, DOU, and I'm a motor officer. I've been currently at this assignment about the last 2 years. What other assignments and duties have you had? I was on patrol from the beginning of my career for approximately 5 years. I did 3 years in narcotics, assigned to DEA task force, and then I came back to patrol. Reference to the current assignment that you were in, which is a motor officer for the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, have you any special training received? Or have you received any special training? Yes, especially as a motor officer. I am a motor instructor. I'm also a radar instructor, firearms instructor. How long have you been a firearms instructor? I believe it's been about 5 or 6 years. Okay. Have you worked with any other department besides Jefferson County? No, I have not. Okay. Did you use, or did you have special training as a firearms instructor? Yes. And what was that? Could you give me the dates and times of that, please? Or dates when that occurred to patrol? Yeah, roughly 5 years ago, so that would have been in 95, 93, I guess. Okay. 93, 94, something to that effect. Okay. So what are your responsibilities as a firearms instructor? I teach students as well as check weapons, conduct in-service training for firearms. I still have to qualify once a quarter myself. That's basically it. Okay. What shift or assignment are you on right now? Right now, we're essentially on a day shift. We run 0630 to 1630, Tuesday through Friday. Okay, and what was your previous day that you worked in? That would have been, actually, I was off last Friday, so the last day I worked was Thursday, and I don't remember the date. Okay. And that was a normal shift for you then? Yes, it was. Okay. And this would be your first day on, correct? Correct. Okay. What was the last time you ate? I had some breakfast right about, I believe it's 7:30. Okay. And where did you eat that? At home? No, actually, I ate it at headquarters today. Oh, okay. And what did you eat? I had some Canadian bacon and some cheese. I just provolone. Okay, and what did you drink? I had nothing for breakfast to drink. Have you consumed any alcohol in the last 24 hours? No. Have you taken any drugs or medication in the last 24 hours? No. How much sleep did you receive last night before coming to work? Oh, at least 8.5 to 9 hours. What time did you go to bed last night? I think it was 9:30, maybe 10. And how long were you on duty prior to the shooting? Since the 0630 this morning. And what time did you get the call for the shooting? I can't remember. I was just clearing a traffic stop when they aired it. and I can't remember the time.
Okay. What kind of calls did you handle prior to this incident?
After clearing our briefing at 0630, I had a special assignment. They had some type of breakfast at Jefferson County Fairgrounds, which I provided traffic control for basically an hour. After that, I went back to headquarters, took care of some paperwork items, left there, rode down here south, and during that time I did about maybe 3 site selections of traffic enforcement.
Okay, and any traumatic calls that you had?
No.
Prior to this?
No, just speed tickets.
Okay. Any problems with the people that you issued summonses to?
The last guy was a little upset at me before I cleared and went to the school, but there was nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay. Have you experienced any family problems recently?
No.
Okay. Have you had any recent work problems at all? Work-related problems?
No.
Okay. Do you wear prescription glasses?
No, I do not.
Do you wear contacts?
No, I do not.
Have you experienced any recent medical problems?
None.
Any physical conditions at the scene that affected your condition at the time of the incident, whether it be weather, wind, anything?
No.
What type of weapon do you carry?
I carry a Glock 17, which is a 9mm.
How long have you owned that weapon?
Approximately 8 years.
And what type of training have you had with that weapon?
We had I believe it was a 30-hour course of in-service training. We went from transition training from our revolvers to semi-autos. So I believe that was 30 hours. And then a couple years after that, I was a range safety officer at the firing range, and then I went to a school and became a firearms instructor, which entailed further training with the semi-automatic weapon.
Okay, and how many shots have you fired to that gun,
Approximately, I'd probably say 5,000.
Okay. How many rounds are provided for your duty weapon?
I believe 54.
And who provides that ammunition?
Our armor, Roger Cox.
And what type of ammo?
I believe it's a federal. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. Number of rounds you carry in your duty weapon?
In it, I carry a magazine of 17 and then one in the chamber.
And how many rounds on your duty belt?
I think the whole 54.
So you carry 2 magazines with your duty weapon?
Yes, I do.
How many shots did you fire during the incident today?
Roughly 3 to 5.
And what caused you to use your weapon today? What reason do you have for using deadly physical force?
I responded to this shooting scene, and when I got there, I observed numerous kids laying around bleeding in the grassy area and on the sidewalk area of the west side of the school. As we were trying to get things controlled, there were other officers with me. One, Scott Taborski, right at the same car I was at, using his cover. And then there was another officer with a security person from the school itself. Deputy Gardner, being the school resource officer for the school, was about 100 feet away from me, using a car as a cover in the parking lot. There was loud bangs, booms, gunshots, bombs going off in the school, making unbelievable noise. Kids were running everywhere screaming. We were advised that there were at least two suspects in the school that were shooting these kids and shooting at anything they could and throwing hand grenades in some kids' words. Kids were running out to us, and we were putting them behind our car and trying to get any intel information we could from them. During that time, I don't know the exact time lapse. It seemed fairly quick. Officer Gardner yelled out, "There's one of them, he's at the door." And there was a door kind of just a little bit off to my left, there was like big 4 doors, to an airlock. And as I looked, I saw a person standing, it looked like a male in a dark jacket, standing at a window that had been broken out or shot out. It was shattered, and a rifle sticking out, a black-colored barrel rifle sticking out. About that time, there was a couple rounds fired from that rifle. Other officers, I believe Deputy Gardner, started to fire, not knowing where these rounds were coming at me. I could see him, he could see me, plus the danger to the other officers and the kids that were in the immediate area. I fired the 3 to 5 rounds, one to stop the firing from the suspect and protect anybody that was there. After those 3 to 5 rounds that I shot, the suspect disappeared back into the building.
Could you describe on how you received this call initially?
I can. I'm sorry if I went a little too quick.
That's fine.
I was at a traffic stop at West Bowles Avenue and South Pierce Street, just to the west. I had stopped a guy for speeding. I was shooting 15 over that day, so he was doing an upwards of 15 miles per hour over. I stopped him, getting his information, back to the bike. I hear on the radio, our primary channel, after I'd called out my stop, that they were dispatching one of the district cars to the area of Columbine High School backbot to check on a person down or a woman down. Not much other information from there. At that time, that car was en route. I told our dispatcher that, hey, I'm going to clear this stop and I'll head over there and check it. As I walked up to give the gentleman his ticket, like I mentioned earlier, he was not real happy with me, but gave him his ticket and was getting him on his way over my portable radio. I heard the school resource officer, 71, Neil Gardner, say that there was shots being fired, he needed help at the school, and there was more people down. And I'm roughly, 8 blocks away from the school. And I believe, it was in the southwest lot. So I got on my bike, rode over to Clement.
Just a second, I'm going to resume the interview after the interruption. Go ahead.
Okay. I decided to ride through Clement Park, which is adjacent. It butts right up to the school property. To come through headed south from the north direction I was, going south by the ball fields, which I knew would dump me out right behind the school. So as I was riding over there, I heard loud noises, sounds like gunshots or bombs going off in the direction of the school. As I continued to ride, everybody was, jumping on the air, saying they were coming. At that time I heard, I was right behind the furthest southern ball field, and I heard Neil Gardner yell code 33, which is our emergency code for officer needs help, and now that he was taken on fire.
Just a second, please. Okay, we're going to start it over again. Go ahead.
Okay. As I neared that ball field, I observed a patrol car was behind me. I made a decision to, sounded like it was way out of control, to leave my motorcycle where it was. Deputy Scott Taborski, who was riding by himself, was the driver of his patrol car. I told him, let me in, and we'll go over there with a little bit more cover than a motorcycle. As we rounded, at that point, we also run into, a gym teacher that had hopped the ball fence, and we figured out that he was,
just stand by a second. Okay, I'm going to resume the tape after a short interruption here. Paul, you were talking that you had gotten off the motorcycle and gotten in the car with another officer. Go ahead and continue.
Okay. That officer was Scott Taborski. And as we were I was getting in his car, actually, I remembered a gym teacher, the baseball coach, was running across the field. We confronted him, got any intel he had, which was nothing, but he described chaos of kids hurt, people shooting, things like that. We left him and proceeded in the patrol car around the baseball field, which we found a maintenance shed, a big, it's where they keep their sports equipment, nice big bunker kind of thing. We took up a position there. From there, getting out of the vehicle, there was just chaos. Kids running all over. There were people exiting the north end of the building. There were kids running, trying to run up to us. I saw at least 3 people that were just laying there bleeding, laying in the grass. Kids running everywhere. At that time, we decided, we needed to get these people out of here as quickly as possible. Again, these bombs, gunshots, whatever the hell they were going off inside the building. There's a big glass area, which is a cafeteria underneath, and the library on top. As these bombs or grenades were going off, but you could see the windows just flexing, indicating there's a bomb going off in there. So we decided to make a decision to get these people out as quick as we could, the ones that were laying down bleeding and whatnot. I had Deputy Taborski drive the car.
Excuse me, I need to speak to a Steve Cruz-Benson.
Going to continue after another short interruption. Go ahead, Paul.
I had Deputy Taborski drive the vehicle. We were going to use the vehicle as cover to get to the totally injured people that couldn't move on their own power. There was one in particular laying out in the middle of everything. I could see Deputy Gardner, and I explained this a little bit. I'll explain it in much more detail. He was over in front from where that bunker was to the right, down on a white blazer, hiding behind a white blazer. Because of the gunfire and then the bombs going off, we decided that we were going to evac as many people as we could. The most injured, the others, we were going to try to give them some protection. Deputy Taborski drove the car. I ran behind it as cover for him. We parked the car sideways right in front of the first down person. And as we did, a whole slew of kids ran out of the cafeteria. Numerous had gunshots, bleeding all over the place. Probably that first wave we took on at least 20 kids. We got them under cover behind our car. I could still see at least 4 of the kids closer to the exit of the south side of the cafeteria, which also goes into the teacher's lounge, or real close to it, laying down bleeding. And they were just, couldn't move. We couldn't get them to us. These bombs, and gosh, it was unbelievable what was going on. So we felt it safer to hold our perimeter and go from there. During that time, we were getting intel from the kids. A couple of the students told me that there were 2 people involved. One was a younger kid, kind of thin, could pass as a high school student, wearing a black trench coat, hat on backwards. Another kid was a taller, 6-foot kid, like big kid, weighed 200 pounds, a little bit older. Again, black type trench coat. The kids described them as hand grenades, shotguns, some type of Uzi or automatic weapons, and they were just in there randomly shooting anybody they confronted at all.
Just a second. Okay, we're back on tape after a short break. Go ahead.
Okay. And then getting the intel from the kids, the radio communication was working. It wasn't great just because of the number of people that were trying to use it. We were able to air the description, things like that, also get back additional, but it wasn't anything different than what we thought we already knew. I was in communication with Deputy Gardner to my right by yelling back and forth. We could hear each other fairly well. He again told me that, hey, there's 2 guys.
Your attention, please.
Second. Okay, Paul, I'm sorry again, another interruption from the intercom. Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Okay. As I was mentioning, I had voice communication with Deputy Gardner. We could yell back and forth. He told me again the description of the kids. Go ahead. reiterated the dark jackets, automatic weapons, and the whole time these bombs are going off, and gunshots because the windows were shattering along the cafeteria.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your
Just a minute.
attention, please?
Again, Paul, I'm sorry. Go ahead and continue.
Okay. So we're basically we know for pretty much fact we've got 2 suspects loaded for bear, automatic weapons, shotgun, long rifles at least, shotguns, something to that effect, long-barreled guns, wearing dark clothing, ball caps. Deputy Gardner even mentioned he thought they were wearing flak jackets, dark flak jackets, because of the bolt. At that time, we're still evacuating kids, getting them out of there, wounded first, followed by the rest. At that time, Deputy Gardner yells, "There he is," and he's pointing right to the door, which is a little bit to my left. I had to look over the cross of the hood of the patrol car.
Attention, please.
Just a minute. Again, apologize for the interruption. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay. As I was explaining, Neil yelled, "There he is." The doors, it was a 4-way, main exit door, entrance exit door, had 4 doors. They were metal, silver doors with glass in the upper half, which would be above your torso. One of those windows in particular, the 3rd door from your left going right, was broken out. The glass was broken out from shots or a bomb, whatever had broken it out, but it was broken out. As he's yelling, "There it is," I look, I see a guy standing there, looked like a white male wearing black, probably a ball cap. You could make out his white face, and the thing that really got my attention was a black barrel of some type of long gun coming straight out. Simultaneously, as I'm looking, I hear one shot, I hear another shot, and it was not from a handgun. It was extremely loud. The report just boom. Being in that situation, you think you even feel those. I don't know, maybe I did. At that time, I didn't even have time to look at Deputy Gardner. The barrel appeared to be pointing in my direction, or Deputy Gardner's direction, with 2 rounds off. I returned fire, firing 3 to 5 shots directly in the direction of the person that emerged with the long barrel gun. He fired at least 2, 3 more, and then went back into the building. I know somebody else was shooting. I don't know if it was Deputy Gardner or not. There was a decent exchange of gun battle there, definitely. At that time, I got back under the car after seeing him disappear. I don't know if I hit him or not. It was a pretty far shot. I felt it was most definitely needed to be shot. I still had people laying in the grass, kids running. The danger this person posed as shooting at me or my partners or anybody in the area had to cease right then and there. There was no question in my mind that person needed to be stopped. And the only way to stop him from where I was with bullets. There was no other option. The only option was to stop him as quickly as possible before someone else got shot. After he disappeared, everybody in our area was okay. I did see some, I don't remember seeing them before when I was talking to Deputy Gardner, but I do remember seeing 2 bullet rounds in the windshield of the white Blazer he was hiding behind. So I assume those rounds came from the long gun shooter that had just opened fire on us. After everybody was okay, we evacuated some more kids. Again, bombs are going off, windows are breaking, rounds are getting shot out because of, in my determination, the windows were breaking. Most likely rounds are coming out because we weren't shooting. About this time, Denver Police Department, members from them show up. After we got the communications worked out, they took up some positions with their cars behind Deputy Taborski and I. They also evacuated, I don't know how many kids, because it kept coming out that door. So we were able to get them behind cover and evac them as quickly as possible. I believe it was Officer Romero had an AR-15 who came up to help us out. Another officer with an automatic weapon and SWAT gear, and another guy behind him with an automatic weapon from DPD took up a position. So we were trying to get to the wounded that I described laying on the sidewalk, which were, we believe, 4 to 5 people. And they were bad shape. Without medical attention, they wouldn't have lasted very long at all. So we basically got a plan. We got 2 ambulances to come in. We provided cover for the ambulances. Romero and I from Denver.
Yeah, let me clarify. Officer Romero is from Denver Police Department.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. He is. Officer Romero and I assisted the 2 guys from DPD, the SWAT guys, with their auto weapons and getting these kids out. So basically what we did is we rushed the building on the west side there, which is there's a big brick wall before it steps down to the glass library, which I spoke of. We provided cover for the ambulance drivers who did an unbelievable job, and it got ugly for them, and I'll explain. They brought their ambulances right into where these kids were to just get them and throw them in the back of the ambulance and drag them. We got I believe two of the children loaded. The worst time, and they couldn't talk, they couldn't barely move. I believe we got 2 of them loaded when shots came from, I believe it was the upper area above the library, or I'm sorry, above the lunchroom, which would be the library. Again, it's big glass windows. Numerous shots erupted, windows breaking, shots coming at us. The Denver officers returned fire. I was not in a position. I was covering the ambulance crew, sucked up against a wall. I didn't return any fire at that time. I couldn't see anything. The glass was with the sun at that time of day extremely mirrored. Plus there was an unbelievable amount of smoke coming from the glass area of the building, especially underneath. So pretty much all you saw was reflection, but there were rounds coming out of those glass windows, like you wouldn't believe. Like I mentioned, at least I know one of the Denver guys returned some suppression fire, cover fire to save the ambulance guys, because it was just getting ugly for those guys. I mean, they were right there, right under the window. We were able to get 3 out of the 4 or 5. I believe there was a 5th one around, and I'm not positive who was. Get 3 of the 5. One of the kids that I did not see any life in him was laying under the steps on the way up to the north part of the parking lot. He had no signs of life. The paramedic checked him, responded to me that there were no vital signs. He was dead. They loaded up what we had right there, got him out of there in the ambulance. At that time, Romero from DPD, we sent him back first, I believe, and then I went, took a position with the SWAT guy that was giving the suppression fire back to the first car, a little blue Toyota or something. I responded back with him, and because we heard more kids in there screaming and whatnot, we came back to that, held a position for hardly any length of time because we wanted back out of there when some more kids came out of the lunchroom door. We had at least 8-10 kids come behind us, behind that blue Toyota, until we came up with a plan to evac them. During the whole time, again, these damn bombs are going off. It was a little quieter. They were more random, but they were still going off with inside the building. And I said they were bombs just because of the loud report they had. We finally got the kids. Again, these poor kids didn't know much about what was going on, but they were hiding. So they didn't see the suspects, didn't know where they were. Said it was just unbelievably smoky downstairs in the cafeteria. They barely found their way out. We got those guys back to a position. None of those were wounded that I saw. We got them back to a position, at which time the DPD officer and I pulled back to a further position, at which time I remained there at the inner perimeter, I don't even know how long, till 4:30 or something. During that time, we still, kids coming out. SWAT teams get there. They mount an assault through that door I'm speaking of into the lunchroom, bringing out people to us on the inner perimeter. There was, after we got a bunch of people out, there was a guy stuck up in the library with one of the broken windows, and he stuck his hand out and he was bleeding all over, and he had popped his head out, and we tried to get him to come down, to the safety area. The SWAT guys didn't even jump off the roof. Some of the SWAT team that was using the armored car on the south side of the building got that armored car to drive over in front of this window, and 2 SWAT guys got up, and this kid jumped to him. He was in poor shape. They retreated. Again, we held the inner perimeter and until everything was clear. During that time, I discovered a pipe bomb, which was from the Toyota. It was 3 parking spaces away. There was a blank spot, or 1 or 2, and then there was a green SUV. One of the pipe bombs I'd observed was a silver pipe bomb, obviously from the suspects. It appeared one of the end caps off, but I don't know.
We need a building engineer to the office, please. Building engineer to the office. Thank you.
We retreated further back during that time, and I'm just giving you some of my observations now. During that time, I observed another pipe bomb that had been exploded in the parking lot between a row of cars, and it had a detonation type mark on the concrete, on the asphalt itself, with one of the ends down here, and it was probably an inch pipe by 6 inches long. And another cap here, and then the fragmented pipe somewhere in between those.
Just to clarify, these are galvanized pipe.
Correct.
Correct. PVC.
No, galvanized. Everything that I saw was heavy-duty galvanized. The silver one I spoke of was probably 3.5 inch diameter, metal end screwed on. Held perimeter until relieved. We still evac, I don't know, at least 250 kids during that time. I was on the perimeter after SWAT got in.
Okay, let's go back to your shooting incident. How far away were you from the suspect?
In my estimation, it'd probably be 250 feet.
Okay, and was he, if you take the relationship of the cafeteria being on the bottom, is that what you said?
Yes.
And then the library being on the top of this glass portion?
Yes.
Was he in the library section, or was he in the cafeteria section when he counted the weaponry?
He would be at the height of the library section, which was basically the same height as what I would be at.
Okay. And if you take a look at the library section, my understanding of how you're describing it, it's fully glassed in a half-moon circle.
Correct.
Okay. If you're looking at that building, would he be on the right or the left?
He would be on the left of the glass portion.
And you fired 3 to 5 rounds?
Correct.
Okay. Did you know the suspect at all?
Not at all.
Have you been involved in any shootings prior to this incident?
I have
Cindy Parker, can you come to the office, please?
been involved in shootings, but I've never discharged my weapon.
In the line of duty?
Correct.
That I'm looking at?
Yes.
Okay. Who did you talk to following the incident here?
General conversation to that Officer Romero with DPD, because we were on the inner perimeter together. I talked to Neil Gardner just for a little bit, sent him, after conversing, he knows the school the best, sent him to the command post so he could help out the SWAT team figure out which way to go. And then Deputy Rick Hoffman, he drove me over.
Did anybody else handle your weapon?
No, nobody's touched it.
Nobody's touched your weapon since you fired the weapon at the scene at Columbine High School? Okay. We're back on tape with Paul Smoker. Paul, why don't you tell me about your magazines and stuff?
Okay. After I did the exchange of gunfire, basically I did tactical reload, which essentially is taking the magazine out of your gun, inserting a fresh magazine fully loaded into the gun, so if there was another exchange of gunfire, I'd have more rounds.
And so that's the reason why you did the tactical reload and reloaded the weapon?
That's correct.
Any other officers near you that fired that you know of, for sure?
Well, I know Deputy Gardner did, because of the sound coming from there, and he was the only officer there, so I think I would assume anyway that he fired.
And this is the SRO?
Yes.
Senior Resource Officer?
Correct.
School Resource Officer.
There you go. The Romero from DPD did as when we were evacuating those kids with the Littleton paramedics, the ambulances. I know he fired. And the other Denver officer that I don't know who his name is, he also fired.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Paul?
No.
As a standard procedure in the Jackson County shoot team, we'll be taking your weapon.
Okay.
And we will do a GSR on your hands also.
Okay.
Okay? This will include the interview with Paul Smoker. It is now 5:45 on 420 and 99.